This lesson is titled Market and Customer Segmentation. It's part of the module on customer value proposition, and prior to this we spoke about the concept of customer value. The most important part in the concept of customer value is defining who's the customer. So, that is what we will do in this session, in this lesson, which is who is the specific customer and how do we define them, so that we understand their needs and wants and create a proposition or create a product or a service or an offering for them. So, I will first take what is called market segmentation, which is, imagine a market which is a geographic market, or imagine a market which is just a large amorphous market, meaning it is not defined well. So, let me take a market which I have called n equal to all, which means n equal to everyone. हम एक product बनाएंगे, we will make one product and we will use that and sell it to or pitch it to everybody in the market. Not very common in today's world, but most consumer electronics start their life like that. Most of you are a generation that may not even have seen typewriters, but typewriters looked the same. They looked the same, they made the same clickety clackety kind of sound, and then they got replaced by electronic typewriters, and today typewriters are out of business because we do it on our computers. But it was the same typewriter which was used by a customer, didn't matter whether they were rich or they were poor or they lived in England or they lived in India, the typewriter was the typewriter. Other such examples which perhaps you may be able to relate to are, let us say, a refrigerator. Today there are many types of refrigerators, but originally they were all single door. They all had the icer or the freezer section on the top, single door, so whatever went in here, the vegetable tray was at the bottom. We moved from there, and in that the first thing that happened was sizes, 300 liter and 100 liter and 500 liter, whatever sizes that refrigerators were in. Then we started doing two doors which were top and bottom, then we made them left and right. Now we are getting to, if you want to be eco-friendly, there is a refrigerator for you. If you want to, if you are more interested in frozen food, there is a refrigerator for you. So, I will explain that to you later, but currently n equal to, which is the sample equal to all, is what means there is a single product serving everybody's needs, and the reality is nobody is anywhere near there at this point of time. It existed at various points of time. I do not know how many types of air purifiers are there today. Maybe it is more basic today. So, it is just one model, and no matter what is the size of your room, they might be the same, do not know. Ceiling fans used to look and act the same. Ceiling fans look very segmented today. So, n equal to all means single product for one large group. The contra of n equal to all is n equal to one market, and n equal to one market is called by this word bespoke or tailored fit, and all of us know that because we all have got our clothes tailored. So, whether it is the blouse I am wearing today or the trousers that a lot of you wear, they are often tailored to your specifications, right. That is called bespoke. When you buy a t-shirt which is customized, it is printed with something that you wanted as the message on your t-shirt, that is full customization. Some great examples of full customization exist in digital form. When you have a music streaming service or when you have a content streaming service, whatever is the your feed is different from your friend's feed, because your feed is customized for you. And it is based on the preferences that you have set, maybe the things that you have watched, maybe the things that you have watched and given a like button to or a refer button to or whatever. So, that is called n equal to 1. The world is moving towards n equal to 1, which means gone are the days where we can create one product and everybody will buy it. It does not happen at all. In fact, with more and more data that is available and more artificial intelligence that is coming in and able to predict what is it that people will like, we are moving closer and closer to this n equal to 1 market, which means that every single customer is unique and every single product therefore is unique. Yeah. Somewhere in between these two, which is n equal to all and n equal to 1, is a market that all of you will understand, and that is called a segmented market, which is there are different needs and different problems, and forget problems, different needs. So, fashion for example, some people prefer loud clothes, some people prefer understated clothes. Men and women are two different genres completely as far as fashion is concerned. Within let us say women, teenage girls behave differently from those who are going to work and who are between 20 and 30 years of age, and those like me who are going to work, but we are in the 45 to 55, 45 to 55, 60 age group. So, our clothes are a function of many things, which is to do with our age, our income, what kind of place we live in, what is the kind of community that we associate with, and what is it that we want our clothes to say about us. One of the segmented markets that all of you will know instinctively is the mobile phone market. So, I will not go to brands, but let us talk about features. There are phones that promise you better gaming. There are phones that promise you better screens, which means they fold or they open or whatever. There are phones that promise you significantly better cameras or significantly better picture taking experience. There are some that promise you that your data will be private. There are many that promise you that there are so much in our ecosystem, there are so many apps which are linked to our operating system. So, this is how you create segments. Some are created for techie segments, which are the nerdies or the gamers segment. Some are created for the esteem or the flex segment who want to show off their phone, and therefore, the most important feature there is a design feature. There are some that want to be high tech, always want to be ahead of the curve, and such customers will keep buying the newest thing in the market whenever it hits the market. There will be some who are like, all these people who are chasing flash, I do not want to be like them at all. So, I want a simple, functional, decent looking phone. It does not have to be flashy. So, these are ways of segmenting the market, and these are called segments. Often segments are also linked to price. So, there are price segments which are called premium category, luxury category or ultra premium category. There will be a mass or a middle of the market segment. There will always be a discount segment, and then there will be a base of market segment. So, if I take just price as the variable, then you create segments like this and say I want to operate at the base, or I want to operate at the middle, or I want to operate in a smaller segment which is not the middle but smaller than the middle, or I want to operate in the premium segment, right. So, these are ways of segmenting, or these are not ways of segmenting, these are market segments, and you as an entrepreneur need to figure which is it that interests you, and then we will come to customer segmentation. I have just broken the segmented market into niche just to explain that niche money even smaller than segment. A typical segment of a market will be 10% market share. You remember my n equal to 100? N equal to 100 means all 100 people want the same kind of product. N equal to 1 meant only one person wants only one product, which is an ultimate segmentation, ultimate customization. Segments typically will be, I think, somewhere between 20% and 25% of customers want A kind of product or B kind of product. Like I told you about phones, they want high tech phones, they want gaming phones, they want high design phones, they want privacy phones, etc. and so on. A niche, on the other hand, is something that is between 5 and 10% of the market, which means that you are catering only to 5 and 10% of customers, but depending on who these customers are, you might be able to charge a very high price and therefore make a very high unit profit. So, a niche very often is a very profitable business to be. I have given you 2 examples on my slide. One is luxury segment. More often than not, luxury won't even target more than 1 to 2% of the top of the market, but these are people who will buy only that brand and that product and not buy a competitor at all and pay a lot of money for it, and therefore the company will make a lot of profit. The other kind of niche segmentation is called a supplier-buyer relationship in the slide in front of you. The supplier-buyer relationship is somebody, cars work like this. The gear of a particular part of a car will be made by one supplier, tires of course will be made by a completely different supplier. Even within a tire there will be a tube and a tire and a hub, and all these will be made by different suppliers. So, it is a very segmented relationship in the sense that I create this small niche and I am the best person, the most cost effective person in this niche, and therefore I cannot be challenged. Luxury, I am the most prestigious brand in this niche and therefore I cannot be challenged. So, a niche is a very profitable segment. Whether it is a dedicated relationship between a customer and a supplier, or it is a high branded premium relationship between a customer and a brand, this niche offers a company a sizable profit margin. I have now brought in something called a multi-sided platform because that is happening all over all of us today. They are aggregators, which means that they are neither manufacturers nor are they sellers. What they are good at is bringing customers and sellers together. So, whether it is a e-commerce site which gets suppliers on one side and customers on the other side, or the app taxis that we were talking about, which bring together on a platform which is on our phones as an app, they bring together riders and drivers. So, there are people who want a ride and there are people who want to give a ride. So, these are called aggregators. Even credit card companies are like that. There are people who accept credit card and there are people who offer the credit card. For example, in here it is actually a three-sided relationship. There are banks that issue credit cards. The acceptors of credit cards is the shops or the merchant establishments where the card is accepted, and someone like me who is a customer is the third part of this relationship. So, multi-sided platform, the role that the company plays is being aggregator and collecting people. So, the biggest challenge here will be acquisition of customers or acquisition of suppliers and customers. So, to repeat, markets can be one product serving everybody, one product serving only one customer at a time, or somewhere in between the two, which I have called the segmented market. I helped you understand that a niche market is a type of a segmented market which is very often less than 10%, maybe even less than 5% of the market, but it is very profitable. It is less than 5% of customers, but it will be higher in terms of market share and definitely higher in terms of profit in that segment. You should consider a multi-sided platform because many of you will be thinking of ideas which are in the digital space, and therefore think of the challenges in being an aggregator business. You have to get a large number of customers on one side and you get a large number of suppliers on the other side. Having decided whether you want to be niche, whether you want to be a multi-sided platform, or you want to be a large segment of the market, you will then go decide who is the customer you want to serve, and therefore our next chart speaks about segmenting customers. The first way that we segment customers is called demographic. It simply means that we know the details about this person. We know their age, we know the gender, we know, and we are not talking of n equal to 1. We are just saying as a group of people, we will target, I am targeting the Foundations of Entrepreneurship course to young aspiring entrepreneurs who are studying in higher educational institutes in India, because it is on the NPTEL platform. So, that is how it is segmented, targeting this at anywhere from 18 to maybe 30 years of age, that is the age band of the students. Gender is both male and female. Income is not so relevant in this case because a lot of this is free from a student's point of view. Occupation is, most of you are students. I'd be very happy if there are also some faculty members who are attending this course, and family status is not really important. Geography is exactly what it says. Do I want to target everybody in the country through NPTEL? I can, but if I did not have the access to NPTEL, I would create something and say it is only available in, let us say, Maharashtra or in Tamil Nadu or Gujarat, or in a more localized manner. It is very different. Products designed for urban India and products designed for rural India are very often different from each other, and so geography plays a very important role. The third is for me the most important one, which is that even if the demographics are the same, all of you are 20 years old or most of you are 20 years old studying at a higher educational institute, but your psychographics are not the same. Your lifestyle variables are not the same. Some of you are job creators, some of you are job seekers, some of you are fitness conscious, some of you are health conscious, some of you are don't care about fitness or health at this point of time. Dekha jayega, when we get older we will worry about those things. So, all these referred to as lifestyle variables are called psychographics and are very important when you are creating for a particular customer. I give you again an example. The gaming phone versus the stylish phone are two different psychographic customers. They may be the same age, they may be the same income, they may be coming from the same backgrounds, they may be students studying wherever, but one person's need is gaming and the other person's need is esteem, and therefore the looks of the phone will be very different, the features on the phone will be very different, and they will target two different sets of customers. So, that is what I am calling psychographic profiling. It is not my word, it is something that has been used. It is often used for personality or lifestyle variables as they are called. The fourth is less important, but since I have got it on my chart, I would like to explain it to you, which is the behavioral variable. Very often it is easier to convert a slow user of a category than a dedicated hardcore user of the category. For example, if you are using a music streaming service, and I want to launch another music streaming service, it is very difficult to dislodge the incumbent or the current player if you are listening to music 6 hours a day or 7 hours a day. If you are a flirtatious customer, which is like I will listen to music on a streaming service for 15 minutes and another one for 30 minutes, it is easier to convert you than it is to convert someone who is used to that same streaming service and used to listening to, because they have trained that software, they have trained that app to understand that this is my preferences in music. In the morning I like to listen to this kind of thing, by the time it gets to the evening I am interested in something else and so on. So, it is very, very difficult for that customer to shift. Just imagine something as simple as food delivery apps that all of us use. Once we have got used to one, it is very difficult to change for another, no matter how much discount they offer. So, that is the behavioral variable. So, we segment customers first by their demographics, which is age, income, gender, occupation. Then we come to geography, urban, even within urban, metro customers behave differently from mini metro or tier 1, tier 2 cities. Then the psychographic variable, if I am doing food, do I target the health conscious or do I target the indulgence conscious? So, in that I will make two very different products. The health conscious product will look and taste very different, and the delight or the indulgence conscious customer, the product will look and taste very different. The last was a behavioral variable. Do I want to target a low user of the category, a medium user of the category, or a high user of the category? This is how we look at segmenting customers, and segmenting customers is very important because none of us, and take this from me, none of us, not you, not me, can serve n equal to 100. The full market we do not have the capability to serve. To get to n equal to 1, which is very customized, is also very difficult. The reality of life is somewhere between the two, targeting 20% of the customers or maybe going niche and targeting 5% of the customers. Let me talk to you about EdTech. It's a category EdTech. All of you are familiar with the category. You are on EdTech. You and I are engaging through NPTEL, which is a EdTech platform. There are many types of EdTech platforms, and here the segmentation is on income. The segmentation is on which stage in your education journey are you. It is also on do you want to do this for a professional career, or do you want to do this for sheer learning, or do you want to do this for hobby. Those are psychographic segmentation. Professional career, I want to get ahead in life, learning, it is not so important for me to get that rank. It is more important for me to understand the concept. It is a very different target audience from the audience which says, I have to crack this course, I have to crack this exam because it is my pathway to a bright and beautiful future. Yeah? And for me, the last, which is a low user or a medium user or a heavy user, is important in some cases, but not in all kinds of cases. Yeah. The n equal to 1 customer, which is called a persona. We are defining a human being and understanding to this level of detail that this person is between 30 years of age, 32 and 39. There are more females that we are interested in than male for the kind of business that we want to do. The income is somewhere around here, married with no kids, lives in an urban location, and most important, the goals and challenges are they would like to save time, they want to find interesting content to share, and how is it that we as an app or a startup can help Tina is by scheduling posts or by giving content and so on. It is only when you understand your customers at this level of disaggregation or at this level of insight. What are her needs? What is this person's goals? What are their challenges? What do they wish they could do better? Then we will be able to answer the question, how can we help? And that is what startups have to do, because they solve problems of customers. They address opportunities by making sure that customer needs are met. So, this is a customer persona, which is when you understand within a segment what is it that my customers are looking for and create for someone like Tina. So, how to segment customers? Examples in a B2C, B2C means business to consumer. We have already covered this. In demographics there are many, which is age, salary, education, the size of the family, occupation, gender. In psychographics, which I called lifestyle attributes or personality, hobbies, lifestyle, what are their information sources, how can they be influenced, what is their social relationship. The reason I brought this out is not so much for the segmenting B2C customers that most of you will be able to do almost intuitively. Yeah? I want to show you, and many of you will be selling not to end consumers or end users, which is what B2C or business to consumer means, but many of you will be pitching to B2B businesses, which means that you will create products or you will create a service, and the person who is buying it is not the end user, is not a consumer or an end customer, but is likely to be a company. And just as an example, those of us who buy any cloud service are buying anything that is bought at an institute level. Let us say I gave this example of the clicker, and let us say my institute was buying this clicker, then this company which is selling clickers is not selling to Professor Anu, is selling to the institute, is selling to perhaps IIT Bombay or any institute. That is called a business to business, and even here you need to understand how to segment B2B customers. I have given you, it is like a cheat sheet. So, if you want to sell drones, you want to sell drones, do you sell to government, do you sell to wedding parties, do you sell to agri-tech firms which want to use drones to see soil mapping and so on. So, you can segment your customer even if it is a B2B customer by the domains that they are interested in, which is called industry here, Do you want to target large companies within that domain, or do you think smaller companies you have a better chance because bigger companies already are entrenched with your competitor and therefore smaller companies may have a chance? Many people who are building software are finding that large companies either have in-house teams that are designing the software, or even if they do not have in-house teams, they already have a supplier or a vendor or a partner that they are associated with. One of the largest opportunities for all of you is likely to be the SME sector, which is the small and medium enterprise sector, and India abounds in them. These are people who have small manufacturing units, chemical plants, plastic injection molding, they could be wholesalers. They are small and medium enterprise by the size of their turnover or by the size of the number of employees that they have. These are ways of segmenting. Do I target small? Do I target medium? Do I target large? If I have a product I want to build which is about carbon credit trading, at this point of time, I do not know if going to a small and medium enterprise is the bestest thing to do. Maybe I should start with the top 1000 companies on the listed Bombay Stock Exchange or the National Stock Exchange. So, these are ways of deciding which is my bullseye, where should I find customers most suited for me because competition is not serving them and I can serve them better. Even within companies, you will find that there are lifestyle variables or psychographic variables very similar to what we had seen in the end user or the consumer or the customer context. And here are things like there are some companies that do not want change, that are very happy with their systems the way that they have been. They are very slow to change, they are risk averse, they might have this thing that I do not want to try new things as soon as they come, let some other companies try them, when we know that it has settled in then we will. So, those are examples of companies which are risk averse, which have aversion to change, who are rigid, they may not be as open. There are some companies that adopt technology just because they think technology is the best way to grow. So, those are ways of psychographic variables that you can use to segment the companies that you want to target. So, whether you are targeting end users or consumers or you are targeting companies or firms as your own business idea, you must learn how to segment them, and two routes are the demographics and psychographics, and I have given you a cheat sheet for both B2C as well as a cheat sheet for B2B. So, this is a chart that investors love looking at. So, investors like to know TAM, the word is TAM, which means total available market. Investors like to know that if you have brought a product out today, it will be something that will be relevant to a large number of people. Yeah? So, for example, I would like to do, it's an idea that I have in my head, I do not know when I will get around to doing it, but I want to offer services to senior citizens much like the creches that we offer to young children. So, at the stage where both husband and wife are working and they have a young child and they leave the child in daycare to get taken care of while they are able to do their work. I think the same challenge happens to older people. When they get to senior citizens, either their children have left home or their children are working long hours and do not have the kind of time, and they themselves do not have a social circle. So, that is my idea, and every time I talk about this idea, the first question I get asked is, it's a great thought, but how will you scale it up? How large is the market for it? And I tell them the market is as large as the number of senior citizens, but actually it is not that large, because I am asking for people to come to a physical place and spend the day. Instead, if I told people that I will create an app for senior citizens which will measure their BP and which will measure their whatever parameters, pulse and oxygen saturation, and keep this information available to their children who are working and give one beep when something is not right, my market became much larger, because it is a digital product, it can be put on people's phones and therefore it can go anywhere. It is not limited by the small city I live in, it is not limited by my state or my country, it can go across the world. So, that is the difference between total available market, which is in over time we can take this idea and this solution and go to a very large market, that is TAM. As a marketer myself, I am most interested in the target market, which is who is the first set of people that you will serve. If you get that right, then you can go to the next and you can go to the next. For me, the target market and the customer number one are the most important. From an investor's point of view, and I fully understand that and respect it, they want to know how large is the opportunity as your idea scales up. The intermediate one is called SAM, which is a served available market, which means how many people can I serve through my sales channel. In Anu's sales channel of having a daycare center for senior citizens in Powai, the served available market is Powai. I don't think, senior citizens will come from, 20 kilometers off to come to this center in Powai. So, it is not served by a sales channel. The moment I go digital, the served channel becomes much larger. As many people who have phones, as many people who will download of the Google store or of the iOS store become available. So, somewhere between the two, as I keep saying, the reality is somewhere between the two. You need to start with a narrow market and then build. But when you start with a narrow market, you get your learnings and you improve your offering, and then you can go to the next market. But having said that, the vision or it's called BHAG, B-H-A-G, big, hairy, audacious goal, B-H-A-G, is to serve the entire world. And that's one of the things that we say increasingly about India, that we don't have products that serve the world. We are only creating for ourselves, which is fine. We have 1.5 billion people, we can create for ourselves, but all of you should aspire higher and you should have ambition to serve the world, which means that your TAM should be 8 billion people or a large number of people across the world that you are interested in serving through your product. My last explanation, really speaking, for the types of customers in our country. And the nice thing about, and there are three columns that you can see, they are 2010, 2019 and 2030. I must give credit to INC Data Labs for this data. It also gets captured, it's census data being looked at differently by different people. So, here it shows that we have gotten richer. So, our strugglers are narrowing. They were 33% of the market, which is the bottommost rung. They were 33% of the market in 2010 and they will be only 11% of the market in 2030, which means we are lifting people off from the poverty line. If you notice the top two, those are also getting broader and broader. So, we are no longer a pyramid. So, the Indian purchasing power is not a pyramid. We call ourselves a diamond, which is that we are narrow at the top, narrow at the bottom and nicely fat in the middle. So, that is the diamond structure that India is very well known for. And recently I was doing a fireside chat with Mr. Kishore Bayani, who is a very well known consumer expert, entrepreneur, consumer expert, very knowledgeable about retail. And he said that there are three Indias, and this is in a sense the three Indias. So, the top two are affluent or elite. Elite is really very, very, very high capacity for income and expenditure, spending. The middle two are middle class, and the Indian middle class is very famous because it is large. It is the size of many countries of Europe. Each of our states is like the size of one country in a developed economy. And India 3 is the strugglers, as this term uses, and it says that perhaps we should create there the basic needs that are not being met today. And if you really want to make a lot of money, it probably is at the top of the pyramid. solving problems is at every level of the pyramid. So, this is India's purchasing power. There is nothing that you need to remember from this chart other than the shape, which is that we are getting richer. The number of people at the bottom is narrowing, the number of people at the top is broadening, and the Indian pyramid is no longer a pyramid, it is a diamond shape. And so, who is it that you will want to create for? I'd support people wanting to do business that solves problems at the middle of the pyramid. There are enough problems to solve at the bottom of the pyramid, but trust me, we haven't even solved problems at the top of the pyramid, or in another word, there are several opportunities at the top of the pyramid. So, I wanted to leave this thought behind with you about India 1, 2, 3, or about Metro India. Actually, it is not by geography, because even within a city, we have people in the elite affluent category, we have aspirer category, and we have struggler category. So, it is not defined by tier 1 city, tier 2 city, tier 3 city. It is actually defined by income and how much is the disposable income. So, think about this when you are thinking of an idea and you are coming up with it. So, the purpose of this lesson was really to talk to you about segmented markets, and within segmented markets, niche market, and after that trying to figure the customer segment that you will serve. And you will do that by looking at demographics. Income is a very key part of demographics. You will also look at lifestyle variables, which are called psychographics, fashion conscious, convenience conscious, time conscious, health conscious, fitness conscious. All these are lifestyle variables, and you will also look at geography. And this is what the world, the country that we are creating for, and it is definitely worth its while creating at every level in this pyramid. Thank you. We will move to our next lesson soon.